Hey scrapbookers, it's Vanessa here with my first process video using my April stash kit. And if you watched my stash kit video, you will remember that I had pulled specifically some supplies from my stash that were all about little monsters or had, little monster stickers and whatnot. So that is what I decided to create my first layout using, were all those supplies of the little monsters, and that will actually be the title of this layout. So I'm just showing you here all the things that I pulled, and it all came from my stash kit. And I'm going to obviously be scrapbooking a picture of my son. So that is what this one is about. And I'm actually using a cut file from the Silhouette store, and it is of a monster. And so I went ahead and I sized that in my Silhouette software, and I cut it out with multiple pieces of pattern paper from my stash kit and a couple of scraps in the black and white. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up all the different parts of this little monster, and other elements on the layout will also have the inking around the edges. But I am using Distress Oxide inks in Blueprint Sketch, Evergreen Bough, and Spice Marmalade. And so I'm going to ink up all the edges of this little monster. I like the dimension that it gives around the edges instead of having it just be plain. Just adding this little bit of inking just kind of gives it a little, not dimension, but it gives it a little definition on the page is, I guess, the word I'm looking for. And so I'm just going to make sure each one of these pieces are all inked up. And then I am going to take those same 3 colors of Distress ink, and I'm actually going to just do a little bit of distressing, I guess you could say, to the background. Most of this gets covered up in the final layout, but I figured because this was a boy page and it was, there were monsters in it and whatnot, the background needed, it was already a distressed background piece of paper that I was using, but I felt like it needed a little bit of roughing up and just, color kind of thrown in certain spots on the layout, and, just to kind of symbolize that, yeah, this is the boy, and, they're all boy there, and that's my son. He's a little boy, and he can be a little monster for sure. And once I get to the picture, I'll tell you, I'll tell you that, yeah, he definitely lives up to the little monster name every once in a while. So that's what I'm doing here, is just throwing some color on. I'm just smooshing it with the sponge and just putting color kind of in a couple of different places, and it really, a lot of it does not show up. The Distress ink, or the Distress Oxide ink, does react to water, so I do splash a little bit of water to kind of get a little bit of reaction. I didn't put a lot of ink on, so I don't get a huge oxidation happen when I put the water on, but there's a little bit, and I like just the little bit of sort of interest that it gives my background by having this little bit of ink kind of on that background in different spots. So I am going to try to do some splatters here as well. These really don't turn out, and it's because I didn't use enough water, and I'm using like a very small little water brush, so the splatters aren't the greatest, but I do try to throw a few on here. But again, you don't really see them. Even when you see the still photos at the end, you won't see them a whole lot. And so, like I said, I'm using a cut file, so that's what makes this layout actually come together really, really quickly. This did not take me very long at all. Once I had everything cut, and then what took the longest was really to do, this distressing on the back of my pattern paper here, and letting that dry is probably what took the longest. This layout really came together very quickly, and I have to say, I also have a haul video that's going up that I'm using my Tim Holtz glass mat, and I love how easy this thing is to clean up, so I'll just throw that in there. So now that my background is dry, I have gone ahead and grabbed just a piece of green cardstock from my stash, and I'm going to use that for my back mat of my whole layout, I usually like to put something, a piece of colored cardstock or some sort of cardstock in the back of all my layouts, and so that's what I'm going to do with this one. So I just inked the edges of that up with the evergreen bough just to add that extra color around the edges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out everything, how it's going to look in the final pictures at the end, and then I'm going to glue it all on the layout off camera, so you don't have to watch all the gluing, but you'll see exactly where I'm laying everything, how I'm going to lay out this whole layout. You'll see the assembly or what the final monster himself looks like. And so I'm just kind of laying out the pieces on where I want it to go. And I love this cut file. He's so cute. I love the little monsters, even the little stickers. They were all so cute, these little tiny monsters that I'm going to put on this layout. So I really love how this one turned out. It's pretty cute. Even though, you know, my son being a monster is maybe not always so cute as this layout turns out, but it's definitely a cute cut file. I will link it, or I'll try to link it in the description at the end of this video. And so this photo, like I said, is of my son. And in this one, we are actually on vacation in this picture. And I'm not actually going to talk about the fact of that we're on vacation when I put the journaling for this layout. I'm really just going to talk about how my son definitely has that kind of personality where he's a bit fiery, and he definitely has a little monster that can come out every once in a while. And usually that little monster can come out when he doesn't get his own way. And it can kind of rear his little head every once in a while. So, you know, we're always learning how to help him not let the little monster come out sometimes. So in this case, he was definitely unhappy with the fact that we weren't going where he wanted to go. And so I had made him go and sit on this bench while we were on vacation. And it's hard to see in the photo, but he's pouting. He's very unhappy. But this was to keep that little monster at bay because, yeah, I was just waiting for the meltdown. And, you know, in public, it's always super fun with kids. So this layout is definitely a good title for him because he is definitely a little monster sometimes. But we love him. And as he gets older, he's learning how he should act a little bit better. But it's definitely a memory that we wanted to remember, or I wanted to remember, so that he can look back at it later and, you know, laugh at sort of how he could act when he was little. And really, that's all that this layout has on it. I'm going to put my journaling there on that tag. And I've just added some word strip stickers that says "My little guy" and "Boys are the best." And with that, I'm going to put my date down at the bottom there. And then that completes this layout. And you will see all the pictures in the end. And I thank you for watching. And if you want to see what else I create, make sure you subscribe. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.